how do you stay motivated as a business owner and just in life in general?
I stay motivated, and I truly mean this, is because of family like you. I find that family, and let's be specific, our family, which is multicultural and spread out and multi purposes, if you will, just an exciting time in my life at this point in time. I mean, here you are doing the kind of service that you find joy in and connecting others. I mean, what a wonderful purpose that you have upon yourself to reach out to others. I mean, that's wonderful, and not everyone can do that, and not everyone can do that successfully. I find purpose with my family and also my friends, but also in my interest and joy in life at this point in time. And I'm delighted to be alive. I'm delighted to be fairly healthy, and I'm delighted to have some mental awareness, sharpness about me at this point in time and stage of my life. I stay motivated because I want to live as full a life as I can at this stage of my life and enjoy it. So the purpose of life obviously is unique. I think when you look at what it is that makes you tick, let me give you, for instance, at the last episode we had, and I told you about my uncle who said, do you want an education or you just want to be a chop? Well, that hit me pretty hard because what happened was I didn't get drafted by the NBA. I became a teacher. So I went into education for a couple of years and then got an offer to get into something that was a marketing position. I transferred from pure education, into business and in marketing. At the time, I didn't realize how impactful that was, but it was. While in fact, you can be in business and always teaching, and obviously various means of being successful, I found marketing and business of joy to me. So purpose in life is, accepting or your skill sets, your experiences, and what makes you happy, and enjoying it, and hopefully being able to transfer that if in fact you're in business or if in fact you're a businessman or woman.
What was the transition like from going from the education system for so long and then transitioning into more of a marketing business oriented work life?
Again, you have to look at who you are and what you're comfortable with. I was and still is pretty much a guy that gets along with folks, interacts with people pretty easily, can be influential if in fact needed, accept changes pretty readily. And that was something new. This was new. And for me not to say, oh wow, this is over my head, I can't do this. I accepted the challenge. And so you got to dig deep in regards to who you are, what makes you happy, and if in fact you're competitive in regards to your own talents and skill sets. Each of us have to find our own joy in life. What makes us happy in what we do, not only how we live, but what we do. Purpose of life is the long game. It's not a short one.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And as you know, man, that marathon, a lot of stuff can come up. And you have to deal with it, but still enjoying the marathon. Not saying, oh, I'm sorry I'm in this marathon. No, okay. Here's some unexpected things that came up, but I'm able to deal with it. I say this because purpose of life is really finding who you are, your own experiences, you find your own skill sets, and then not only recognizing them, but enjoying them and using them not only for yourself, but in your case and others, How do you help others and the joy of doing
I know that in our last episode, you talked about you being Mr. Popular in high school.
that?
And I'm sure that had a major impact on your success in the business world. And I'm just wondering how big of a role the traits that you're born with play into your work or your life's purpose in the long run.
Yes. There are certain traits and personalities that we all have. Grammar school and high school, I mean, it's just something that, you kind of develop. You're finding out who, in fact, you are. You may or may not have certain types of friends. And then as you're going through high school, I happened to be an athlete, a student athlete like you were, and I had the personality that people liked. But even as I was, quote unquote, the most popular guy in high school in my class, that is not to say, let me just put it this way, there wasn't a differences in who I was as a black young student. I just happened to have the mental fortitude and the fortune of having so many positive folks around me in my class and all that they felt that I was the leader of the class and so forth. So, did I work at that? No, I mean, that was just me. And luckily, my personality and my ability to interact with my classmates and my success, perhaps on the basketball court and in the classroom, added to that. So, that carried with me throughout my life is that I have these traits, this personality, and yes, it paid off on me as I look back at the journey. It's who I am and what I brought to the table. It sure opened some doors for me and kept them open, if you will.
How impactful, I should say, was your love for the transition now into marketing and business? How impactful was that on your life at home?
It was challenging. Let me continue to be transparent. It kept me out of the house. It put a lot of pressure on your grandmother, your late grandmother, to raise the family because I was predominantly on the road and left a lot of the early stage development of the family up to her. I didn't do it mindfully to put all that on her. It was just that the opportunities presented itself and I took advantage of it. I would always now say, when you look at an opportunity, it's great for you, but if you're married with family, okay, not to be selfish, how would it impact your family? And do you have the okay of the family, in this case, your wife, your loved one, your partner, in regards to here the details of this opportunity? It might entail a lot of travel and me being away. How do you feel about that? And can we deal with that? Now, those that do not have family, they deal with it in regards to if it's new territory for them. Am I comfortable getting out of my own space, which may be a city or a state or a country? And how do I deal with the uncertainties of all of that or the newness of the languages and the people and so forth? And so you got to make sure that those that do not have the family and support that they reach out to friends in regards to, I'd love to get your input on this opportunity I'm about to accept. What are your thoughts? What are your insights?
Rewinding back in time briefly, you talked about your motivation now or your purpose now is essentially mainly inspired by your family. And I'm just wondering, has that always been the center of your purpose?
I mentioned my uncle on the last episode being the first in our family to go to college. We had some educators coming on, finally had some doctors coming on. There weren't any quote unquote business people in the family. Did I think about it? Yeah. I found business to be just intriguing. I fortunately had the personality and the mental and physical whereabouts to really become a presence, if you will, in the industry. And I worked at it. It didn't just happen. I didn't just want to be someone in the room that was just in the room.
Mm.
I wanted to make sure that some people in the room knew I was in the room, if you will. Now, I don't know
How did you
if
work
that's
on that?
selfish. How did I work on
Yeah.
that? Well, you work on that because people find out who you are and what you've done. So when you walk in a room, you'll know how you're being received. It's just something you feel. I mean, and then it eventually comes out, and the respect that they have for you in regards to inclusion in their conversations, inclusion in their initiatives, inclusion in and running things by you and sharing things with you. I can't tell you how fulfilling all of that is. You enjoy what you're doing here. I mean, I see it in your face, I hear it in your voice, and apparently your audience, they do as well.
How do you embrace the loving of the journey that you're on? How do you fall in love with the process of you becoming what you've envisioned yourself to be?
You know, as you go to on this journey, there'll be incidents, both positive and some not so positive, that will address your purpose of life.
Mm.
All right. Am I living up to a good father? Am I living up to a good granddad? And what is that? Am I a good person? You address that internally, but you also get that from family and friends. And you hope that there is more positive interactions in the journey than there were not so positive. But you work at that and you see that delight from your family and friends.
Love it.
For instance, and I'll close on this, for you wanted to interview your granddad
Yeah.
is one of those wonderful